In the 1960s and early 1970s, long hours of hard work, sloppy seas, and an abundance of fish characterized trawling off the west coast of the United States. We targeted ocean perch, rockfish, black cod, lingcod, and sole. Sometimes we hauled up mostly dogfish, for which there was no market at the time. Dogfish are a small shark with sandpaper skin and two slightly venomous dorsal spines, specifically evolved for impaling the extremities of deckhands. Wolf eels, skates, as well as various other fish and invertebrates, including delicious giant prawns, were also discarded or eaten. On rare occasions, a tow produced almost all dogfish. Expanding air in the swim bladders, a bag of compressed gas found in some fish to help them float, causes the net to explode to the surface. A net full of orange perch erupting from the green depths of the sea was beautiful and exhilarated, even when I was seasick and only wanting to see shore again. But sometimes the net hung almost straight down, indicating either sole, which lack a swim bladder, or dogfish, which are also devoid of such equipment. We hoped for sole, but sometimes we got dogfish. On a fairly calm summer's day, we hauled back a heavy net that hung straight down. Dogfish filled the net to its throat. Because of its weight, an attempt to bring it aboard may result in the net snapping off or becoming stretched and mangled. We cut the web down the sides of the net to create holes and used the hydraulic net reel to carefully shake the stubborn mass of small sharks to freedom. Slimy fish slip right out of a hole in the net, but dogfish don't slide. In the past, their skin was used as sandpaper. It took hours to empty the net, and we spent the remainder of the day repairing the self-inflicted wounds we cut in the web. Other objects occasionally surfaced in the net as well. Bombs left over from global conflicts, pieces of sunken ships, and many other odds and ends left laying around on the seafloor found their way to our deck. Earlier that year, on the eve of Easter, the Paragon was fishing off the coast of Washington in the galley late that evening. The crew discussed death and resurrection, subjects that were appropriate for the occasion, but which some of the crew considered bad luck. Olaf, in particular, was uncomfortable with talk of death on a boat. He wanted no part of the discussion. The crew started the winches to haul in the net, and soon a bag of bright orange perch burst from the darkness behind the boat. The crew noticed an unusual metal object in the net as it swung over the bulwark. The fish were dumped out, and a chrome metal coffin wrapped in a rusted chain hit the deck with a thud. The chain fell off, allowing the lid to slide along some slippery fish, followed by a neatly dressed but headless corpse. The eerie spectacle of a decapitated corpse convulsing from contact with the flapping fish was more than the crew could bear. Darting across the fish-filled deck, they raced to the stern, where they hid behind the net reel. It was only after a half hour of calming, persistent persuasion that my father was able to convince the cowering crew that despite its writhing, the body was going to leave the boat only with their assistance. They crept cautiously back to the coffin, cleaned out the fish that had fallen in, and tried to maneuver its decapitated cargo back inside. The corpse was evidently held together only by the polyester suit it was wearing, and time in the sea had weakened the suit stitching. When Jonas tried to lift an arm with a pitchfork, the arm came off. Losing limbs did little to assuage apprehension's already approaching terror. Eventually, the cadaver was coaxed into the coffin and returned to its resting place on the sea bottom. The fish on deck are sorted by species into compartments in the boat's below-deck fish hold. A deckhand works in the hold, shoveling ice onto the fish as they come down. On the Paragon, the bottom of the fish hold was 12 feet below the hatch, combing. Olaf was the most squeamish of the deckhands, and it was his turn to ice the fish. With visions of a dead body still fresh in his thoughts, he climbed down the ladder and went to work. When the fish were nearly all off the deck, the other fishermen decided to play a little joke on Olaf. Fred hollered down, "Hey Olaf, I found the head. I'll throw it down to you." At that point, my father turned out the lights to the deck. Fred threw down a large fish with only a scant moonlight to trace its fall. It hit the slushy water at the bottom with a loud splat. Vessels well beyond the horizon must have heard Olaf's terrified cries as he shot from the black space below. He refused to re-enter the hold for the remainder of the trip.